Hi, I'm Quinn, and this is Open Awareness Yoga. Today we have gentle yoga. We won't even be standing up. We won't be sweating, mostly stretching. And this sequence is actually derived and inspired by a sequence by Bobby Connell, an Iyengar yoga teacher that inspires me. And it's really safe and beneficial for women who are currently menstruating. Good for everyone. It's just particularly nice for this low belly area, the uterus, and that downward flow of movement. And today you need a few props, so a yoga block or a stack of books, a yoga bolster, which I highly recommend investing in. I have suggestions for a brand. This can also be a firm pillow like a body pillow or a stack of blankets, and then an extra blanket. And if you're in a tight body, you might need more blankets or more cushions. You can have those nearby to grab if you need them. We'll be hanging out in some poses for a little while. And so we'll get started in Virasana, which is a seated pose. And some of you might sit just like this on your heels. Some of you might not be comfortable that way. So if you are comfortable this way, go ahead and find that position, line up your shoulders, close your eyes, and tune into your breath. Just kind of sink in with the meditation. And if you're not comfortable this way, I'll give you some options. So if you know this isn't going to work for your body, just find a chair, sit up in the chair. You can do all the following exercises from there. You can also take your block or your stack of books and place it underneath your sitting bones. And then bring the knees either together or hips width distance apart. So whatever's closest to you. You can make this block as high as you need to find comfort here. Now, some people have sore ankles, so your ankles might look like this when you're practicing, and it might hurt on the top of the ankles. So you can take your blanket, roll it a little bit, and then place it underneath the top feet. And then perhaps that makes it bearable to sit back. You can do that plus a block or stack of books as well. And then some folks have knees that don't like that much flexion. So you can try taking your blanket and placing it between the calves and the thighs and seeing if that helps at all. And again, you can also stack and combine props here, and you can make the folds in your blanket as thick as you need to experiment with that. Although the thicker the fold, the more calf muscle pressure you'll get into, which is fine for your muscles, but not necessarily soothing. Okay? So some of you have already been here for a while. Some of you might be finding a seat on a piece of furniture. But either way, roll your shoulders back and down and close your eyes if they aren't already. Let's take 3 cleansing breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. So take a deep, deep breath in. Exhale through the mouth. 2 more. Inhale. Exhale, mouth. Inhale. Exhale. Soften deep in your hip creases. Relax your shoulders down with gravity. As you breathe in, feel your ribs floating up off of your waist. Feel the spine lengthen and breathe out. Keep that lift, but settle the legs and hips down into the earth. Blink your eyes open. Interlace your fingers and flip your palms away from you. Thumbs reach down. Roll your shoulders back. Keep the top shoulders here low. And as you inhale, lift your arms towards overhead. Try to straighten through your elbows and only bring the arms as far back as you can without a lifting and a blowing out of those front ribs happening. So keep the shoulders stacked over the hips and move the arms back. So see the difference? Opening up through the armpits here. You can see the angle of my armpit, this versus this. And if I'm lifting my heart, we're not opening through the armpits necessarily. So we move the arms back. Lift up your back ribs, take a deep breath in, maybe look up. And as you exhale, release your hands down through a T to the ground. We'll do the second side, Badanguliasana. So interlace your fingers with the opposite thumb and index finger on top, and then press the palms away from you. Soften your shoulders and inhale, lift the arms overhead. Exhale, stay. So think again about opening up through the armpits without back bending through the spine. Feel what's going on at your low back, and can you point your tailbone between your heels down straight to the ground to lengthen the low back so that you're not overarching in the low back. One more deep breath in. And exhale, release, maybe petting your kitty who's going to eat your flowers along the way. So if you're uncomfortable in this position, you're welcome to find another seated position that works, maybe with the legs crossed in front of you. We'll take a series of neck exercises next. So bring the fingertips out to the side of the body. See, I'm not on my hands, I'm on my tip fingertips, and then crawl them as far away as you can. Feel the shoulders dropping down towards the ground as you do. Take a breath in. And as you exhale, drop the right ear over to the right shoulder. Continue to crawl those fingertips away. So we're reaching length through this left side top shoulder and arm. Let your jaw hang open and breathe. Moving into a second version of this stretch, tuck your chin in towards the right armpit, moving the head very slowly so that you can explore and feel when you've found another muscle, an area along the back side of the left neck to stretch and open. And with those left fingertips, you can crawl them forward or back, sort of exploring where in space they support this stretch the most for you. And don't let the right shoulder creep up towards the ear. So really relax the upper trapezius. All right. Here, we'll bring the right ear back to the shoulder, reversing out, and then lift the head up onto the spine. We're going to stay on this left side. You'll lift your chin diagonally up and to the left, and then tip the head back slightly until you feel some sensation of opening through the front left side of the neck. And again, you've got this left arm that you can play with. You might even hover your fingers off the ground and stretch the arm behind you. And if anything that you're doing causes a sudden sharp pain or burning sensation, very slowly move the head back on top of the spine. Slow, gentle, and controlled movements are preferable to sharp shifts and changes so that we don't cause injury through the delicate neck area. Okay, here, bring the chin back down towards the floor and then lift the head back up on the spine. Bring both of your hands into your lap. Take a deep breath in. Out through the mouth. Roll the shoulders up, back, and down. And then reach the fingertips back out for the other side. Inhale here, lift up through the spine. Keep that spine long, and as you exhale, left ear comes down to left shoulder. Crawl both of the fingertips further out, top shoulders moving down away from the ears. Open your jaw and breathe. Sometimes just very simple stretches like this can make a big difference in your day. And you really don't need the whole hour of yoga sometimes. Just get on the floor for 5 minutes. Second variation, tuck the chin in towards the left armpit. Again, play with the right hand to find the right opening for you. Soften both shoulders down. And breathe deep and full in and out. You can take as many sighs or exhales through the mouth as you like all throughout practice. Oftentimes I teach nasal breathing, but not today. If you're alone or you feel comfortable, it might also feel nice to hum as you breathe out. And That vibration sort of wiggles out tension. Okay, so we bring the head back up to center, left ear to left shoulder, and then lifting the head up on the spine. Now we lift the chin diagonally up and to the right, and then lean the head back until you feel an opening through this front right side throat. Use those right fingertips, maybe even lifting them off the ground, reaching them away from you, whatever you'd like to do. Breathing. All right, with this one, slowly bring the chin back to level as you lift the head back up on the spine. Bring your hands to your lap, roll your shoulders up, back, and down, and then turn your head to look over your right shoulder. Turn the head to look over your left shoulder. One more time, right and left. Nice. And then shift yourself off of your feet. Bring your legs out in front of you and straighten at the knees. Our knees have been bent for a while now. So you just want to sit up for a second. You might even lean back and be lazy about it. You might feel like you need to bounce through the knees a little bit. It also feels good to rub along the inner and outer knees. And if your legs have fallen asleep, you can always grab and massage them, get the blood flowing again. Every morning I meditate, almost every morning my legs fall asleep in some manner, and this always feels really nice after that. Okay, so the next shape we'll take is a squat. If you're not the squatting type, that's okay. You can stand up, take a horse stance, which I'll show you, or you can grab onto some furniture or a wall to support yourself in the squat. Bring your fingertips forward. And your heels might be off the ground, that's okay, drop them down towards the earth. What we're doing here is just getting a bit of a counter pose to find flexion at the ankle because they were just extended for quite a while. So an alternative to squatting is this horse stance, standing up, bending the knees. And for even more flexion in the ankle, you might just take tabletop and then stretch one of your legs out behind you. So you have a lot of options here. Just continue to breathe. And one thing I failed to tell you at the beginning of class is that you'll need a wall. It's optional, but it will feel nice for the next pose. So if you want to scout a place where you have a wall or even a door behind you, you'll go there next and you won't need a mat. Okay, so we'll come out of the shape that you've made. Make sure you do both feet if you're going one at a time. And you'll find your blanket and fold it so that it's a nice thickness. Place it right against the wall if you're using a wall. And then you'll take your firm pillow and place it the tall way, either on top of the blanket or a little bit behind it. We'll be sitting on top of the blanket and this will be a backrest. That's what we're getting set up here. So you'll come to sit on the edge of the blanket. Walk your sitting bones behind you and straighten the legs long out to a straddle. This pose is called Upavista Konasana. And here, place the fingertips behind you and then lean back into your bolster. So you should feel the shoulder blades against the support behind you. The low back is supported here too. And the legs don't have to be too wide apart, just whatever works for your body today. Turn the toes up towards the sky and the center of the knee up towards the sky. Roll your shoulders back and down. Close your eyes and breathe. You might be thinking, what exactly are we doing? Well, we're doing Upavista Konasana with support behind us to help keep the spine long and tall. And if you tune in to your legs, the inner groins, your hamstrings, and the buttocks, notice that there's a lot going on in these areas of your body just sitting in this simple shape. And it doesn't need to feel like a deep stretch or a deep anything for there to be something happening. Can you notice any differences between the right and left side bodies? Is one leg closer down towards the ground? Does one sitting bone feel more grounded into your blanket? It might be some work for you to keep the shoulder blades pressing back into the bolster. And I don't mean pressing hard back into the bolster, but just in contact. We'll be doing more to open up through the backs of the legs and through the groins as class progresses. Just a few more moments here. Maybe a few more exhales through the mouth, if that serves you today. See if anything has changed in your experience of this shape from the beginning to now. If your eyes are closed, blink them open. Point and flex through the feet a few times. And we'll come from here into a butterfly. So bend your knees, feet on the floor. Then walk the feet in front of you. Bring the soles of the feet to touch and let the knees open wide. Press down to lift your hips off the ground and then scoot them back so that the two sitting bones are pointing straight down to the floor and that your back is once again against the bolster. So here you can keep your hands along the side of the body as we started in those neck stretches, or you can grab your feet and pull your heels in a little closer towards the groin. You might even turn the soles of the feet up towards the sky as you press the tops of the feet down towards the ground. Without too much effort or force, release from the inner groin to the inner knee. And then close your eyes. Soften the shoulder blades down the back. Point your tailbone straight down towards the ground. And breathe. For some folks, these longer holds and shapes are really just natural. For others, they can be irritating. And that's okay, it's a practice. Are you open to receive what is in store for you and your practice and your body today? Notice anywhere you might be holding on or gripping, over efforting, and turn the volume down. A few more moments here. Maybe humming with every exhale breath, the sound of Making that hum from as deep in the body as you can, not in the nose. Maybe even lowering the resonance of the hum as low as you can go. blink your eyes open. Bring your hands underneath your knees. Draw the knees together, and once more, straighten the legs. Bouncing the knees or rubbing inner and outer knees. And from here, we'll head into a Supta Baddha Konasana, which is a favorite pose, and we'll use the pillow and the bolster. So take the bolster. We do this in a lot of classes, in these gentle yoga classes. Take your blanket across the head of the bolster. Sit right up against the bolster and then lean over backwards, making sure that the blanket beneath you supports the head and the neck. And if you've got a ponytail holder like me that's jamming into your neck, move it to the side or take out the ponytail entirely. Now lift up your buttocks and scoot it towards the heels, placing it back down to lengthen the low back. And we head back into the shape we were just in, butterfly, Baddha Konasana. Bring the soles of the feet together and open the knees wide. If you have any knee pain or if this is too much for you today, you might slide cushions or books, blankets underneath your thighs and your knees. You might bring the arms out to a T, palms face up. Maybe you bend 90 degrees at the elbow, especially if you have limited space like I do. Another option is to hold opposite elbows and release the arms overhead. Now, though we call this butterfly pose, the translation of Baddha Konasana, which is the shape we're making with our legs, is bound angle. A-N-G-L-E, bound angle pose. And you might see how the poses that we're doing are good for the low belly area, good for the hips, any heaviness that we may be carrying here for any reason at all. At the beginning of class, I said good for when you're menstruating, if you menstruate. It's also good for full bellies. The digestive organs are also in the low belly and the mid belly. If you're holding opposite elbows overhead, change which forearm is on top. Maybe you return to exhaling through the mouth or humming as you breathe out. And we'll be here for another little while, but if you've had enough, then be done with the pose. Pull your knees together slowly and rest with the legs straight. Just let it be about opening up through the chest and the arms. If your arms are overhead, bring them back down. Everyone slide the arms down by the sides of the body and then place your hands underneath the thighs to help guide your knees together. Toe heel the feet as wide as your mat and let your knees knock in towards center and just rest here. You might slide your thumbs down to the deep inner creases of your hips and just let the contact of your own hands help soften and experience whatever's going on for you physically right now. Toe heel the feet, hips width distance apart. And then be careful. You'll roll off your bolster to one side. Press your hands down into the ground to sit yourself up. Next, we'll head into a child's pose. So let's place the bolster and maybe also the blanket on top of it across your mat, horizontally in front of you. Sit on your heels. Bring your knees wider than the hips. And then place the forehead on the bolster and the stack of props in front of you and let the arms just hang. Now, if child's pose isn't comfortable for you, you can come up into hands and knees, crawling the arms over the bolster, and then scooting the head down to rest on top of your props. If it feels like your spine is rounding, you might want to scoot the props further away from your knees and lengthen your spine. If the arms or shoulders feel cramped, you might spread the arms a little bit wider. And breathe. Let your low belly fall down towards the floor. If you do have your hips higher than the knees, reach your tailbone away from the rest of your spine to engage through the abdominal muscles and protect your low back. Unless, of course, whatever you're doing feels amazing. And you can trust yourself. You can trust your body. Breathing in and breathing out. Take 3 more breaths here. On your 4th inhale, slowly sit up. Take your time. Our next shape is Paschimottanasana, or a straight leg forward fold. So those of you who can sit flat on the floor and lift up through the low back, go ahead and sit on the floor. If you look more like this, with the low back rounding, that's okay. That's why you'll sit up on top of your blanket once more. So pick your poison. If your hamstrings are quite tight and your knees are bent, it feels a lot to straighten the legs, you can take something, extra cushions, and even slide them underneath your knees. And you'll take your remaining props, legs hips width distance apart. You'll place the remaining props over your legs, maybe right underneath the knees or right above the knees. You can make a stack as high as you need to so that you can hinge right here at the hips and fold the forehead down, resting on the props. You may be able to grab your feet, you might not, that's okay. You can just let the arms round over your props. If you have any spinal problems or anything going on in your back, just place your hands down on your props and keep your spine long. Just close your eyes and breathe.
Remember, if you ever have had enough of any shape, you can move yourself out of it. Take a rest, maybe come back in, or maybe just do your own thing until the next shape. Being here in your body and your practice. Taking this time for yourself. Practicing your yoga. Soften your belly here. Three more breaths. No rush. On your fourth inhale, slowly, slowly roll up to seated.
Bring the hands behind you. Rest. You can bend the knees if you need to. You might roll the shoulders back, lift the heart, move your spine into a little back bend. You won't change the body up too much from here. So you'll just bend your right knee. Bring the right foot in towards the left inner thigh. Place the bolster and prop stack over your left long leg and fold back down. Hinging at those hips, being careful not to over round through this low spine. You'll sit yourself up higher and higher until you can get the length or stay upright. It's great work. The time we spend in this shape. The focus on your breath. Being with yourself. No pressure. No force. Just gravity and surrender.
There are many different definitions of yoga, depending on which source document you're studying, whether that's the Sutras of Patanjali or the Bhagavad Gita or the Hatha Yoga Pradipika. There's so many different traditional texts and many, many paths to yoga. In the Sutras of Patanjali, he defines Kriya Yoga as tapas, svadyaya, Isvara, pranidhana. And that translates roughly as dedication of using pain or suffering to purify ourselves. And that doesn't mean hurting ourselves. That just means, being in this shape maybe. Doing the practice every day, even if you don't want to. That's tapas. Svadyaya is self-study. It's like going to see a therapist, journaling, analyzing yourself, and studying sacred texts. It doesn't just have to be yoga. And Isvara pranidhana is surrender. Surrender. Let's slowly roll up. Bring the hands behind you. Bring your right knee up to the sky, then straighten the right leg. Lean back and rest. Breathing slow. And when you feel ready, move on to the second side. So bending the left knee, placing the foot on the inner thigh, transferring your props over to the right, either staying upright or hinging right here from the hips. So fold down and rest here in Janu Shirshasana. Soften your shoulders down away from the ears, relax your belly. And if you need to modify or change the shape in any way because your body doesn't feel comfortable, please do. You are your own best teacher. Tapas, svadyaya, Isvara, pranidhana, kriya yoga. Dedication, self-study, and surrender. This is kriya yoga. When you're ready, slowly roll up through the spine. Bring the left knee to center, straighten the leg, lean your hands back, rest, or move in any way that you need. Next, we'll take Upavista Konasana again. If you enjoyed that shape at the wall, the straddle legs, you might choose to do that again, especially if you're working with a straight spine today. If it's not comfortable for you or safe for your body to fold forward. Or you might take your prop stack, still seated on a blanket if you're using one. Place the prop stack over your right leg somewhere. Twist the body to the right, and then once more, crawl down, maybe stacking your palms and placing your forehead down on the ground. And feel free to adjust your legs and get comfortable. Breathe. I used to not always be so happy just chilling and relaxing, because I'd have this restless feeling like I needed to go, 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 to be productive, to be doing something, to be worthwhile. And it really was tapas. It was dedication. It was painful to practice this way. It was, irritating, and I felt like anxiety causing. But really, it was just my body like running out of all that stuff and then settling into some self-care, to a different pace, a pace at which I was not practiced nor very good at. But with practice, that's something I've become better at and even have grown to teach. Relaxation. So very slowly roll yourself up, turn the torso back to center. Notice any asymmetries in the body, and very carefully, especially if your bolster is heavy, transfer it over to the other side. Revolve your torso to the left and fold down. You can do whatever you need to with your legs. Okay, maybe bring them closer together, bend your knees a little. Experiment. Make this your own. Now very slowly roll up and center. Slide your props right between your legs. And here, you may need something more for comfort. And fold forward over the props. Draw the top shoulders down away from the ears. Shoulder blades move down the back towards the hips. And if you're comfortable with it, turn your palms face up to the sky. And let your fingers naturally curl as the hands relax. And this upward turned gesture, symbolic of receiving. And in order to receive, oftentimes we must also surrender. It must open to what's being given to us, which can be vulnerable. And maybe it's not what you're looking for right now. That's okay too. It's all just suggestions. guidance, but not rules. There are as many paths to liberation, as it were, to yoga, as there are people practicing it. You are your own best teacher. Press your hands down into the ground. Use your arms to help you sit back up. Oof. Bend your knees. And then bring your feet in front of you, hips width distance, one more time. Stack your props over your legs. And just one more time. Fold forward, resting your head and arms on the props. Soften your belly. Maybe this one is different. We won't be here for as long. And take 3 more breaths, in and out. Don't rush it, but notice if you tend to, and accept that. It's okay. Don't have to do what you tend to do. That's what willpower is for. Go ahead and sit up. Well, this next shape is one of my favorites, and it really can vary depending on what bolster or firm pillow that you have underneath you. It's worthwhile playing with if you can't really get it to work right now, and you can always ask me for help, and I can hop on a video call with you and help you with this one. But for the setup, we have a few steps. So you'll take your blanket, make it into a really long rectangle, and place it at the head end of your bolster. So you're going to want some room behind you. That's how we get out of this shape. Okay, this is going to be for the shoulders and the head. Then you'll take your block or your stack of books and place it somewhere at the end of the bolster, the foot end of the bolster. Your feet will eventually go there. And this does take some guess, check, and revising on how far everything needs to be apart, but you can do it. Now we'll sit up onto the bolster towards the front, the foot side third of your pillow. And here, come down to your elbows, roll your shoulders back and lift your heart, and then lay the shoulders down on the bolster. The head comes down on the ground behind you. Now once you're here, you're not going to want to turn your head too much in this shape. You want to be careful with your neck, but we will be sliding backwards off the bolster so that the tops of the shoulders are also on the floor. The back of the neck is long. So try not to walk the shoulders, but press into your feet and slide backwards off of the bolster, tucking your chin towards your chest to make space for the shoulders to roll underneath you. Now the chest is open. The back of the neck is long, and you might press into your feet, lift up your buttocks, tuck the buttocks under, reaching it towards your heels, place it back down on the bolster to lengthen your low back. You can leave your knees bent, or you can straighten the legs long, finding that block in front of you, or your stack of books, and if it's possible, using your feet to press it out or in so that it's underneath your heels. Now the palms face up, either along the sides of the body or out to a T or goalpost arms. And here we are in a supported bridge pose, Setubandha Sarvangasana. Stimulates the thyroid gland, great for balancing hormones. It also is opening up the heart and chest, supporting the back of the lungs. Relax your throat, relax your neck.
and breathe. If that was confusing, you can always rewind the video, watch it, and then try again. Any pain in the low back, bend your knees, place the feet on the floor. You can also just take a regular bridge pose and slide your block or your bolster underneath your buttocks to support yourself in that shape. Surrender into this. You might wonder what you're surrendering to, and that's up to you. It might be your version of the Holy One. It might be your reality, your experience, your body, nature. It might be to the moment. It's up to you. You don't even have to know. And you certainly don't have to believe one thing or another. That's the svadyaya, the self-study. These are questions one asks oneself. There are plenty of inspirational sources and people and places to feed the fire of inquiry and discovery. Take 3 more breaths here. And if you want to stay for longer, I invite you to do so. When you're done with your breaths, bend your knees, place your feet on the floor. And here we scoot head side off the bolster. You can walk your shoulders now along that blanket you placed underneath you for just this purpose until your buttocks is on the floor. And you can lengthen your legs along your bolster or your pillow. And just rest here for a moment. Maybe turning your head to one side and taking a full breath in and out. Turning the head to the other side. Repeating your breath. And bring your head back to center. And then here we'll move into Shavasana. So maybe that's just as simple as making yourself comfortable on top of the blanket you've slid back on, and turning your bolster horizontal and sliding it underneath your knees. But do what you need to be comfortable. You might also take an extra cushion or fold over your blanket for underneath your head, especially if the front of your throat feels really open and the back of your neck feels crunched. And then you want some height underneath your head. Roll your shoulder blades underneath you and then relax, letting them broaden. Roll your palms face up to open across the chest. And then let all effort completely go. Feel which of your muscles have a white-knuckled grip on the bone. And send a breath into that area of your body. A breath that invites that grip to release, to trust, to surrender, to gravity, to the earth, to Shavasana. Final resting pose. Begin to deepen your breath, taking in more air on your inhale and feeling your ribs and body expand, letting all the air out as you exhale. Wiggle your fingers and your toes, move through your wrists and your ankles. And on an inhale breath, lift the arms overhead along the floor. And walk your feet and legs together and stretch toes away from fingers, fingers away from toes. Leave the arms overhead, bend your knees, place your feet on the bolster on the floor. And then roll to your right side, placing your head on the upper right arm as a pillow. Tuck your knees into your chest and rest in the fetal position for a breath or two. Let the left side of your body surrender its weight to the right side of the body, and the right side of your body surrender all that weight into the earth. Feeling the release of the gripping muscles, the effort that is not needed. And place your left hand down on the ground in front of your chest. Turn your head down to the ground and slowly sit up. Let your head hang and be the last thing to arrive. Come to any comfortable seated position and bring your hands to the lap. Lengthen up through the spine. Sink down through your hips. Bring your palms to touch in front of your heart and take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, bow your head to your heart, sealing your practice. Maybe sharing your experience and the vibration of love, gentleness, relaxation, and peace out into the world. Finding everybody who needs it. And may we all surrender to receive that love. Thank you for practicing with me. Thank you to the teachers that have come before me. Thank you to yoga, to India, from where yoga came. And thanks to you for doing something good for yourself. Please let me know if you have any questions or requests. I'm here. Leave a comment. Find me. Bye.